Hello and welcome to today's Facebook and LinkedIn Live. I'm delighted because today I'm going to be chatting with parental leave transition coach slash expert, Jo Lawrence. And we're going to be talking all about the 6 ways companies can prevent talent leaks within their organization following parental leave. So as people are logging on, do let us know if you can hear us all okay. Give us a like or an emoji, that would be fab. And if you're watching this from an employee perspective that perhaps has returned to work or has had parental leave, please do pop some of your experiences in the comments. We love to read them. But I'm chatting today with Jo Lawrence, who is a parental leave expert and coach, and she works with companies of all different shapes and sizes to help them manage the parental leave transition back into work for their employees. So thank you so much, Jo, for joining us today on such an important topic. And it's really timely as well, because obviously there was a lot of noise last week, a lot of press about childcare and how the cost of childcare is a huge factor that's preventing people from going back to work. So it's a really, really timely topic.
Yeah, it is great. Thanks for having me on, Liz. It's gaining noise, it's gaining speed, it's gaining momentum, and just the awareness that childcare is the cost of childcare is pushing professionals, valued, talented professionals out of the workforce. So majorly important points in current affairs at the moment.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we'll have to see what we're going live, aren't we? It's 2 days before the budget, so we'll have to see if
Fingers
anything
crossed.
happens in regards to that. But yes, today we're going to be talking about how companies can prevent parental talent leaks in their organization following parental leave. So before we go into that, do you want to just give us a little bit of an overview as to what you do, Jo, and what Work Life Parent does?
Okay, so Work Life Parent helps employers to create a parent inclusive company culture that in which their employees feel valued, and it's about helping companies to create a culture where people are happy to bring their whole selves to work in terms of their life choices, that they want to become a parent, and how companies can attract talent, retain them, develop them, also that their business thrives as well as their people.
Yeah.
So whether that's working with employees going on leave, so one-to-one coaching before, during and after leave, whether it's working with a group of line managers, helping them to create a space where open and inclusive conversations can happen, where they are confident that they can handle conversations where there might be dealing with emotions or heartbreak, and then also supporting employers with the resources they have available to their people. For example, I've got an e-guide at the moment, and that's full of templates and conversation starters that line managers and employees can dip in and out of at whatever stage of leave they're at, or if a line manager, they know someone is coming up to going on leave, there's a checklist of what they can. It's not prescriptive, but it's a guideline. So I help employers in that way, and then parents who are having sort of one-to-one coaching, that's helping them with the transition into working parenthood, their well-being, their career aspirations, etc. So a mixed bunch.
I think it's such an important job you have, because it is such a big obviously it's life changing, isn't it, for somebody to become a parent, and actually for works to acknowledge that and support people that are going through that absolutely life changing, critical point in their life. Definitely, is so key in retaining those individuals and actually helping them to thrive and achieve their full potential,
Absolutely.
and to the benefit of them, but also to the organisation. So really important the work you're doing. So thank you so much, Jo. Thank you as well, Abhishek, for watching and for the emoji. Glad that you can hear it. Okay, so when people are coming to you, obviously for your one-to-ones, what are the reasons that they're giving you? If they're having a bit of a wobble about work, or maybe they've left and you're helping them returning from a career break. Why do people want to leave organizations after becoming parents?
I think to start with, it's just a big sensation of overwhelm because
Mm-hmm.
it's a new experience.
Yep.
Um, they haven't been in that position before. So things such as, am I going to be able to do my job as well as I did before? Now that
Yep.
my priorities have changed, I've got a human being to put before myself.
Yep.
So am I going to be as effective and successful as I was before? Um, and also worrying about what colleagues, managers are going to think of them in terms of, well, I don't feel as though I'll be able to put as much effort in because I won't be able to just work
Yep.
late or drop into my emails in the evening. So there's problems like that. Also, confidence wobbles in terms of my identity. All I've known is a career and it's what I've worked for. And then, boom, I was a career girl before. This is when we're talking to mums. And now, wow, I'm a mum and I've got a career. Who am I? How am I going to manage this? Also forgetting or can't, because I've been out of the workspace for so long, sometimes it's like, well, I can't remember actually what I was good at.
Yeah.
What are my strengths? What value do I bring to the company? So sometimes it's about getting, through the coaching, it's getting their head sort of back in the game of thinking about themselves first, because they haven't been able to think about themselves for, say, 9 months because they've had to learn how to look after a tiny baby. So
Yeah.
that's sort of the transition, the mindset of going from, okay, I've just been given 100% of my attention and my headspace to a baby, or
Mm-hmm.
babies if you're twin mum like I was second time, to how am I going to do that and give 100% attention to my career and my employer and my success. So yeah,
It's
very.
difficult. I've literally listen. I'm resonating. There was so much me thinking, how am I going to do it? How am I going to get me up, get me ready, get a baby ready, get the baby at a nursery, then get myself to work, switch, because that mindset you've got to then, you've just in the morning, it's stressful, isn't it? You're trying to get the
Yeah,
baby ready,
yeah,
you're being mum, and then you've got to then switch to then being corporate you,
yeah,
if that's what you were. And
yeah,
it's difficult, and it's not easy. Someone said 100% Jo, summing up exactly how I felt as an older mum.
yeah, yeah. And you know, as an older mum as well, late 30s, I came to motherhood. I've been a very organised person, a planner, and then you sort of come to going back to work, and you're like balancing all these, juggling all these plates, balancing this with that, and actually, it's not like you need to teach people to suck eggs, but some of the support that comes up is down to helping people have conversations with their spouse or
Yep.
their partner about how the household's going to be run,
Mm-hmm.
who's going to do this, who's going to do that, who's going to do the nursery run, who's going to put the bins out, and
Yep.
just all those practical things. And also establishing boundaries
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what you are not prepared to do as a working parent, and finding ways of articulating these non-negotiables to your employer and colleagues without feeling as though you're not, um, you know, concerned about your career. So there's a lot of the practical sides of returning to work that can cause overwhelm and panic and think, oh my god, this just not worth it. I can't do it.
Yeah, but I think that's where a coach comes in because, like you say, someone is at that point feeling hugely overwhelmed, thinking they can't do it. And at that point, they could then give up. But actually, if they've got a coach holding their hand saying,
Yeah,
right, this week you do this and you break it down,
yeah,
and then next week and then it's all those small steps that actually makes it so much more manageable. You
yeah,
feel that less overwhelmed, and you can start to think actually, no, it is possible. I can do both. I just have to do it, in a way that's right for me and my
yeah.
family.
Yeah, it's about helping build up the resilience. So I
Mhm.
like to think I'm helping parents create like a resilient return, so that they don't think, oh, I'm gonna give up at the first hurdle, or I
Mhm.
need to, go part-time, or I need to downgrade my job, or yeah, so creating sort of a resilient return.
Yeah, I like that. So we've sort of talked about now, the emotions that are running through a lot of parents' minds, particularly those that have maybe taken that extended break, or that the full parental leave on their return, and is an emotional time. So what do you think are the 6 ways then that companies can support that transition and actually then get the most out of that employee who they've, probably spent time, and money recruiting, training,
Yeah,
before they went on parental leave, and they want to retain that
yeah,
person and get the
yeah.
best out of them?
So some of these are, for me, they're common sense, but common sense isn't always common practice, is it? So I think as a starting point, there's got to be parental leave career transitions support has got to be in part of your strategy for growth.
Mhm.
Um, there's no point in implementing such support if you don't actually know what support it is that your company's missing. Um, so it's, you know in conducting a needs analysis and really digging down, drilling down to get some hard and soft data about um, where things are possibly going wrong. So, for example, finding out at what job levels or grades the volume of maternity and parental leave typically occur,
Okay,
um,
yeah.
gender balance of your talent pool or your pipeline across the levels and grades, so that you've got some, metrics to evidence any gaps. Um, Things like, how many of our people actually take maternity, paternity, adoption leave, IVF leave per year, so that that, what is the scale of the opportunity, um,
Mhm.
so that it's going to be any intervention is going to be tailored and meaningful, and plugging the gaps in your strategy, so that there's, specific return on investment. Um,
If
because
you are an organization where maybe people don't take a lot of parental leave, maybe, you're employing people that are younger than that demographic or whatever, would
mm,
that be ringing alarm bells, do you think?
um, in terms of,
Would you be thinking, oh, maybe we're not that inclusive, maybe, we're losing people because they think that we're not going to be supportive of them?
yeah, because it's about creating a culture that attracts, um, you know, the younger generation coming up. Having a family is pretty much on. I've got a stat somewhere. It's, I think, was it 40? I've got it somewhere. Um, da, 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 da.
I'm just thinking because I've worked at organizations that have been, quite young. They really promote, encourage that graduate recruitment, but then the retention isn't that strong. And I guess that might be a way of actually thinking about where are you losing people anyway
Yeah,
in their life
you're
cycle.
losing them. Yeah, at what stage you're losing them.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, the stat that I was looking for was 2021. There was an estimated 13 million working parents in the UK out of an approximate workforce of 32 million. So the maths there says that 41% people that are part of your workforce are or will become a parent.
Yeah.
And as you alluded to, the diverse range of parenting that exists in today's society in terms of parenting styles and family makeup, um, you know, our workplace is fit for purpose in terms of the
Hmm.
life and career values that Generation Z and the millennials, we want to live out.
Hmm. Yeah,
Then
absolutely.
did that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah. I just thought this is a really good thing to do. I think actually it's so useful. Are your employees taking parental leave
Yeah,
in the first place? And then obviously, are they coming back?
yeah, yeah. And then, so yeah, working out who's taking leave, who's coming back part time, who's coming back for say 3 months and then going.
I was going to say because that's the
Um,
thing. My friends, she's not happy in her job, but obviously she has to go back
yeah,
to get that, so she can keep her
yeah,
enhanced pay, and then we'll look for something else because the job isn't flexible. It
yeah.
isn't offering flexible working.
Well, this is it. And, are exit interviews actually happening? And is the truth coming out in exit interviews as well? For
Hmm.
why do you feel as though you can't be a working parent at this company? Um, and some of the reasons that I hear are I'm not being supported in my career development.
Okay.
Like I've taken leave and I'd like to come back 4 days, not five, but
Hmm.
the job can't be done on 4 days a week.
Yeah.
And it's just those putting barriers in the way
Hmm.
in terms of others asking, like, being reticent and hesitant to actually ask for flexible working or hybrid working or child friendly working because it's not in the culture. Therefore, people don't ask for it because they think, well, I'm not going to get it, so I'm going to jump ship.
Yeah.
So,
What would you say to those people that don't ask because it's maybe not in the culture?
well, if you don't ask, you don't get. And also, where are the role models? You could be the first role model. You could be the first to do it because if people can't see it being done, they're not going to ask for it. And yes, you might be putting your head on the what's the word? You might
On
be
the
putting
block.
you might be putting your head on the block, but if someone's got to champion change and someone's got to change the status quo, um, and there's lots of support out there on the internet in terms of how to go about making the flexible working requests. And for example, ACAS has got it's got letter templates. It's got the list of reasons why employers would possibly refuse your flexible working request. So um, I think also companies aren't making it easy for employees to ask for flexible working. Um,
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because they don't want to be accused of discrimination by asking someone if they want flexible working, or they don't want to be seen as being presumptuous?
mm, um, it, it's a mixed bag, really. I think there's still pressure from sort of outdated business models and staffing um, models where there's the attitude that you've got to be that you've got to be in the office, you've got to be seen, you've got to be able to work full time to do the job. There's that lack of that culture of trust that maybe that some workplace cultures are that what they aren't going to trust people that they can achieve outcome based objectives outside of the workplace, and just yeah, sort of archaic type attitudes towards working patterns. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone says that they like the term resilient to return.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. So you obviously a company has now collected the data.
Yeah,
They know who's going on parental leave. They know if those people are coming back and how long they're coming back for.
yeah.
What would be the next way that they could prevent talent leakages?
So then, with that data, it's looking at what type of intervention. So, um, is there any in-house support that could be put in place? Is there anyone already working in your organisation that could support parental leave transitions? Whether they're a trained coach, whether setting up a working parent network would help to support and create a bit more of an open dialogue about parenting, whether it's line manager training on how to converse with the employee going on leave, but also how to deal with the teams, because it's not just the employee going on leave and the line manager involved in this relationship. When an employee goes on leave, it can affect the whole team. So is it intervention in sort of in that area? For example, it might also, would it be setting up a peer mentoring system in your organisation where parents who have been there and done that or have mentoring sessions? And then outside support, so getting a parental leave coach in to do one-to-one or group workshops. Some companies have a model where they have some webinars, like a pre-leave group webinar that expectant parents can sign up on to webinars, and then when they're on leave, they can have so many one-to-ones. And then there's like a post-leave webinar as well. So there's lots of different options of intervention. It might be that you need a policy rewrite, or the policy needs to include the human side of the policy. But this is what it looks like in practice, and this is how you can have a conversation about flexible working, for example.
So a lot of these sound great, and like the parental groups, etc. Are these, do you think, more applicable to large organisations, or can small organisations do some of these as well?
I think with the latter that I mentioned, it's going to be larger organisations because they're likely to have more parents going on leave at the same time. But for smaller organisations, I think the handbook type option is more viable. That there's the policy, but then there's also, alongside the policy, the guide, the resources of like a pregnancy timeline, or the communications checklist points of what a line manager needs to get from the employee, what the employee needs to give back to them, how to go about that conversation, how to handle, for example, I don't know, a miscarriage. If your employee comes to you and they said, okay, I've had a miscarriage, there's some guidelines about how to respond to that, so that there's a bit of a smaller companies have got a resource that they can dip in and out of when needed.
Mm. And I know you support larger organisations, but actually, this is a real opportunity for smaller organisations, I guess, to get in external support if they don't have enough volume of people
Yeah,
going on maternity leave and
yeah,
returning at the same time, or enough volume of people that
yeah,
are working parents. Then, that is maybe worth the investment for them, is to get an external coach in to offer that peer mentoring support that they just don't have the
yeah,
resources internally to
yeah,
offer.
yeah. As alongside, I think that works well alongside having sort of like um, a one-stop bank of resources.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone said that she was a victim, or he, they were a victim of outdated ways of working with their last employer, who said their senior level role could only be done full time.
Mm.
Mm.
And it's not true, is it?
No,
It's not
absolutely.
true, because yeah, the different ways of working. A parent needs to. I mean, I've tried working. I work from home mainly, and I've tried to work between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. whilst getting the kids dinner, and then getting on and doing an email and doing that, and you're absolutely wiped out. But but when it comes to 8 o'clock and they're in bed and you can sit down, sometimes, I'm on a run, or I have a bit of a
Yeah.
blast of a couple of hours where I'm really productive. So it doesn't mean that you can't do the work. You just need to be able to do it at
Yeah, maybe at
other
different
times.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what would be another way then that companies can prevent talent leaks?
So, I mean, we've talked about promoting child-friendly, flexible working options.
Yeah.
Really, that was sort of my second tip. Um, I think supporting employees to smoothly transition out of the workplace into leave first, rather than, oh, they're coming back to work, right, let's support them now. So,
Okay.
doing a bit of um, prevention, really, before the returns even happened, because something I say and write a lot is return to work is a process, not a one-time event.
Yeah.
So involving the employee in the process of, for example, sourcing and training their cover, so that they still feel involved.
That's such a good, because you know what? There is that sense of, oh, I've been replaced. And that
Yeah,
is probably because you've had
yeah,
no say in who's replacing you.
yeah. And that links into sort of leading any handovers as well, so that you're sort of managing that, so that you know what's happening, and you know who's going to be in the role during leave, you know how you can support them, you can hand over to them before you go on leave, and then you can have a handover back. So, and also supporting employees before they go on leave, in terms of like line managers establishing how communication's going to work during leave, and even a little bit of planning for kit days, just to set the context that actually kit days are, um, they are welcomed here, and
Hmm.
we would encourage you to take some kit days, and these are the types of things, like career development um, activities that you could do during leave. And
Hmm.
I should mention here, actually, that kit days aren't actually a legal requirement, so some
Yeah.
companies don't don't offer them.
Yeah, my company, I wasn't offered them,
Yeah, and
and it was frustrating.
that's a whole nother kettle of fish, isn't it? So, but yeah, and checking in on well-being during leave, because it can be quite scary for expectant parents. What's going to happen here?
Mhm.
How am I going to cope with it?
Well,
Um, how I'm going to do this job when I'm sleep deprived, or how am I going to support my partner when I've only got 2 weeks paternity leave. And so it's not just that the mothers, it's new fathers in this are in that situation as well. So yeah, you've mentioned like they've got worries that they might be replaced, that they won't be needed when they come back. So you could have a different confidence. Obviously, if you're pregnant, you're growing the baby, you've got low energy, and there's just sort of a feeling of uncertainty. So I think if the support is there before you go on leave, it's like, yeah, my employer's absolutely got my back here. This is a fantastic start, and I'm going to be fine.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I love
Which,
that.
yeah, which
That's
then
really good.
which then leads me on to my next point, is that companies really should encourage their parents to engage in the keeping in touch days during leave. They're not just an opportunity to bump up your parental leave pay. That's a nice added little
That's a
bonus there.
bonus, yeah.
But actually, the point of keeping in touch days, how I put them to employers, is they should treat them as professional development days for their employees coming back, with like career progression and well-being at the fore. They're not. Yes, it's two ways. There's some. You as a line manager, you might be, because sometimes maternity, when you go on parental leave, the position isn't covered. The duties and responsibilities are spread out amongst the team. So you might be, yeah, oh great, they're going to be in that day, they can do this. But actually, is there a sort of a bit of a development plan? How is this person that's been out of the workplace, what sort of professional development would be really useful for them to do before they actually get into the nitty-gritty of doing work? Keeping in touch days are great for sort of re-establishing professional relationships. And then if there's like a keeping in touch day sort of plan, or policy or process, there's an incentive for parents to take up those.
I love that, because
Yeah.
I'm not saying this happens at all, but people feel that they maybe have lost skills and experiences, particularly if it's a new system, something's come in, and often this is how we feel rather than the truth. But you might feel you need upskilling, and therefore that day it's really helpful for you to get upskilled in a new system or new process, or refreshed on Excel, whatever your job entails.
And I mean, some parents are like, no, I'm not going to take any kit days because I just want to enjoy every moment of my.
I was going to say, so if you're an
parental leave.
employer and you've got these fantastic kit days planned, and then your employee doesn't want to take them up, what would you say to that?
Well, I mean, they can't really force them upon them, but I think if there are, if there's case studies and there's people who have gone before and this is how they've helped them, and just getting raising the profile of keeping in touch days, and how actually they're a career development opportunity rather than
odds and ends, sort of scrappy bits of the job.
come in and get your password reset and your laptop up and working. Yes, that's important as well, but and that sends the message to the employee, okay, yeah, I have a future at this company. They are investing time in my career development. So yeah, I'm going to stick around to see what happens.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Yeah. And is there any other ways, I can't remember what number we're on now, that you've written down?
So kit days are obviously taken before the official return to work date, but providing a sort of a reinduction and reintegration period once the official return has started, that supports well-being and that transition into life as a working parent. So a reinduction period or reintegration might be helped with like a phased return, shadowing colleagues. I know you could do a shadow colleagues on a kit day, but there might be for during the first 3 months of return, it might be that there's a temporary reduction in hours or a bit more of hybrid working, so that it's not just boom, yesterday I was in charge of a 9-month-old and boom, I'm back in work now. I can't concentrate. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not being very productive. I'm stressed.
Yeah.
I'm worried about my baby. Because it's not about returning to work. Isn't about, you're doing the kit days and you've done all your 10 kit days, so you must be ready so you can hit the ground working. Sorry, hit the ground running. It's about going, okay, you've done your kit days, but we're still, you're back, and there's this period of transition. You might be a bit sleep deprived. We know you need to feel psychologically safe. We're going to help you be 100% present and productive. So I think that's really important, that it can be forgotten that you're back, so you're all right. And then that links to my last point of, say, around about 3 or 4 months back into work after your return date, that there's a meaningful return to work check-in with line manager and employee, that there is not just a tick list. So have you had, you've done this, that, and the other, but like, how actually is your work-life balance? How are your boundaries? Have you set some boundaries for your work-life balance? Are they working? Is there anything we could change? How are you feeling about your career progression? Have a bit of a check-in about like your future at this company, and gather feedback. How has your experience of leave been? So just getting, not like, well, I suppose it is like an audit, but sort of what's happened over the last 3 months. Does anything need to change to make your work life here even better? And what are those actions? And let's put some measures in place. So
Sounds,
those,
yeah.
those are my 6 top ones. There's others, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? I'm just listening to this and I just think what a difference this would make to so many people if their employers bought into just a few of these. Because,
Yeah.
we know what it's like at the moment. You are sort of just, you're working and all of a sudden you're in maternity or paternity leave. You've had no say on who's replaced you. There
Yeah.
obviously is that imposter syndrome. And then you may or may
Yeah.
not get kit days. If you get a kit day, it is, like you said, often just password reset.
Yeah.
Not given a lot to, nothing meaningful to do. And then that, oh my gosh, I'm now back working. And then,
Yeah.
and yesterday I was looking after the baby.
Yeah. It's about creating sort of empathy and like parent allies. So even raising awareness amongst employees who don't have dependents yet, what it's like as a parent, to come back after leave, and just creating a culture that's empathy and human centered, really.
And I mean, I guess a lot of these policies that you've suggested could be adopted or borrowed. If you're thinking about a policy for looking after people that have been on long-term sick,
Yeah.
that a lot of these will be applicable
Yeah.
to people in
and
lots of different situations.
and some of these are quick wins,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, common sense, not always common practice, but if you're going to have you have regular check-ins with your line manager, to make one around 3 months post return, put in an hour, and have a bit of a checklist. It's not, these aren't massive
So
interventions that require a lot of change.
absolutely not. So if you were to pick one, if an employer said, right, okay, I've got the bandwidth, I've got the resources, I can do one thing. I haven't got the resources yet to do all the others, even though they sound fantastic. What
Yeah.
would be the one thing you would love to see more employers do?
Oh, I think before there's this possible, well, it's just a nice to have parental leave support. It's a nice to have. We don't actually need it. It's like, well, have you proved that? I'd say it's definitely the needs analysis.
Mhm.
Where are the gaps in provision? Are there any gaps? If there aren't, fab.
Yeah, you're right, doing something right, but yeah.
Yeah, and then not just thinking, okay, well, we need one-to-one coaching, but actually, do you? Could putting in a working parent forum, could that actually help your company move forward with creating a parent inclusive culture? And then in that forum, seeing what they want. And so I really think it's about that needs analysis and, is there a problem and where is it?
Brilliant. So remind us, Jo, how do you support companies then that want to support their working parents and prevent potential talent leaks?
So for me, I'm quite passionate about creating a parent inclusive culture. And I love working one-to-one and coaching, but I think where I'm going to be able to make the most difference is by supporting companies as a whole. So that, so for me, it's having one resource that could go on, for example, the intranet or your a company's training page on their internet, whatever it is, and you've got a guide. If you've got these resources there that line managers can go into, parents who are going to be going on leave, they can go in and have a look. Even colleagues of parents to be, or employees without children yet, they can go in and have a look at this resource, because it might be that their colleague and friend has had a miscarriage, and they're like, oh my god, what shall I say? I don't know what to say to them. So
Yeah.
it's, for me, it's creating a culture. So that's what I help to do.
Brilliant. So you've got to go into organisations and help them create that culture, I suppose, that people want to work for and stay working for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. So where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more about you and Work Life Parent?
So LinkedIn is where I hang out mostly. So, send me a message on there. Let's connect. If you fancy a chat about anything that we've talked about today, that'd be great. I'm going to be publishing a blog on this 6 ways employers, the conversation we've had today. So go there and have a look at the written form, and use that as a resource, as a starting point to think about what we've talked about today, and if that can help you in your business.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Jo, for joining us today. Jo is our featured return to work expert. She's one of the best in the business. So she's got a lot of resources as well on the Investing in Women website. So thank you so much, Jo, for joining us today and talking all about how companies can prevent talent leaks following parental leave. And thank you to everyone that's watched, that's commented live and on the replay.